All right, good evening, everyone. Uh, my name is Ty Gray, and I'll be presenting you guys with my capstone for the April cohort of year 2023 for data analytics and Python languaging at Savvy Coders. Before we jump into that, though, I would like to give a little bit of background on myself. I'm a GIS specialist with over a decade of experience and extensive working knowledge in various programming languages. My background I feel like has the perfect balance of military and civilian experience, which allows me to bring a very unique perspective to problem solving and helps with my ability to analyze data to to derive insights from complex data sets, coupled with my continuously wanting to learn mindset, or some may say a glutton for punishment, depending on which scope of the you stand on. It allows me to deliver effective and efficient solutions. Um, Now, what brought me to Savvy Coders is that I've always been interested in the Python language. As I've dabbled with it personally and a little bit professionally, I wanted to get a better grasp and understanding of not only that, but SQL as well. Um, and I can honestly say that that has happened here upon completing this cohort with Savvy Coders. So thank you guys, all the instructors. With that, let's jump into the capstone. So I decided to do my capstone on the San Antonio crash data from the years 2019 to 2021. Um, Here, I thought it would be pretty interesting, um, as I recently, not recently, but I've lived in San Antonio a little bit under 8 years now, and they unfortunately we have a very high crash rate. Um, and so instead of doing a giant data set, I decided to narrow it down. Let's see the year that we started our COVID, and then the year we were on lockdown, and then the year we were released, so to speak, able to go back out again. Let's see if maybe that had put a slight lull in it and any trends. The questions I really asked were, what were the contributing factors to all these accidents? Was it the rain? Is it bad drivers? Is it underage drivers, i.e., our teens, our new drivers? Um, was it just people who didn't know how to drive their vehicle properly? Was alcohol play a factor? Uh, what was it? What was causing all these accidents I would see and all the sirens I would hear, regardless of the time of day? And the highways are always backed up because of this. So what I did, I decided to review the data from the TechStat website directly from them. They have a great crash. If you guys are interested, I have that link at the end here. You can actually go in and query exactly what you want to know by fields. And I'll have a link at the end of this showing my queries and the link to get to TechStat. And again, I chose this time frame because I wanted to see if the pandemic lockdown had reduced our numbers from the previous year. Like, was there a lull in that since we all didn't really go out as much and we were working from home, the good old days? And I wanted to see where, if any, there may have been a lull. So once we go through the presentation, you'll see that those questions were indeed answered. And then other possible underlying factors, like I say, could have been age, sex, weather, the vehicle driven, the time of day, and license status. Please understand when I say age and sex, I'm not trying to discriminate. I just want to know where our average majority of those lies. Okay, and I'm not saying men are better drivers than women or vice versa. Take that how you will. So, and you're probably wondering, well, what could this data be used for? Who cares? Are you just some random guy whose son started driving all of a sudden? Yeah, yes. However, I feel that city officials could use this, law enforcement agencies, transportation planners, insurance companies, and the general public. Because let's be honest, we all need to know to avoid. It's kind of like when you're driving out there and you see those driver's ed cars on the highway. Every state should have them. All right, I need to be a little bit more cautious around this guy to know what's happening. And the thought process here is the same. What's happening on our streets that I need to be more aware of in order to make sure that's not me? 100%. Really big thing, insurance companies. Insurance companies use this exact same data that we use, they go in there, and that's why your interest rates, depending on where you live, may be through the roof, or they may be very, very low, because they take into those factors. What type of car was it? You know, um, was it a sports car? Was it an SUV? Who was driving? Was it a male? Was it a female? What age? That's why when you do insurance quotes, they ask you, you know, your biological sex at birth, the excuse me, your age, and then the age you were licensed. You know, that's why they ask those questions, because they end up categorizing you based upon this. So it's, for myself, a early 30s male, they'd be like, all right, early 30 males have less likely to go and drive their truck off the ramp, and go take it bogging and cause us to lose, thousands, if not millions of dollars damages every year. So we'll give him a slightly lower rate, to where a young man, age of 16, his parents hand him his first Camaro or his Mustang, and they already know he's tearing down the highway, going at least 70 in the 45. I mean, it's construction and all, nothing will stop him. So yes, in summary, I think the crash in San Antonio could be interesting for, again, everyone involved with San Antonio, and this will vary. If you're doing a different city, state, county, obviously it could be useful for that, and it could be useful for people that are coming in as well who don't drive there often. A lot of people come to Texas and they're like, "Wow, 80 miles an hour." No, bro, that's suggested. Everyone's going 85, 90 plus. Keep up with the flow. But it just gives that sense. So, a little bit of what I did here. Excuse me. What I did with the actual programs themselves is I use Excel, Python, SQL, and Tableau, as you can see on the screen. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by what I did with each of them. That would be rude. And that was to satisfy the requirement for our capstone. But I can give you a larger overview. So I did have to gather the data again. That was from the TechStop website. It was really a one-stop shop. I was very, very fortunate. I mean, extremely fortunate that they have this massive database that I could use. I didn't have to go and, grab from multiple locations. And that might not be the case for all, but it worked out. And then, and again, so some of the queries are just the date, the time, the type of crash, and then other relevant variables, weather conditions, road type, and vehicle type. A lot of our crashes take place on the highway, which you'll see later in the presentation. So then I went and I cleaned and processed the data, and that just involved, identifying and correcting errors. Again, TechStop, whoever heads, kudos to them guys for their well-maintained database. Filled in any missing values. So anything that said no data, I just replaced with unknown, as you can see there, SQL. And then I just went in and was converting data to suitable formats for analysis. Like I said, this was a giant thing of data, and I was able to go into Python and break it down and create SQL sheets of each individual year. So that way it's more bite-sized for me. Okay, because I know I may have a big mouth, but I don't eat much. And then, with that, I explored the data a little bit too. We use Excel, as you can see at the top, to remove duplicates. That actually helped me. I didn't realize there were duplicates, and that's on me. So my third time looking at the data, I was like, wait, this one looks awfully familiar to my other one. So luckily Excel had a, remove duplicates, and it made it a lot easier for me. Again, I'm not going to read the slide 100%. Not going to insult your intelligence. You are more than welcome to do that. I did add a little bit of code. The top box is my Python, just a clip of Python code. The second one is a clip of SQL. And the last one is also SQL, just how I went and cleaned it. They had a lot of extra wording and special characters. And I just went and I cleaned those off to make it more manageable to work with. So, and as you can see, I wanted to know all of them that had no data. That's why I say in SQL, I renamed those to unknown. All right. And then obviously Tableau, because that's what we're looking at, right? All right. So what I made here is a San Antonio crash dash. I tried. I tried a little something there. So if you laughed, appreciate it. If you didn't, I understand. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Um, so we have here are the top major factors. Now this is the top five. I did limit this. Everything you see on the dashboard limit to the top five. We have the top, excuse me, top major factors. The additional facts, again, weather, the day, as you can see, alcohol, and I'm sad to say that is one thing majority of these wrecks had in common. And then the damage, was it medium, minimum, no damage, or severe? So when you go down to the bottom left, and you'll see a year overview. And this basically is like, well, what is the worst years of 2019 to drive in San Antonio, 2020 and 2021? And then we have the additional facts. That's where the gender comes in, the vehicle, and ethnicity. Okay. I do want to disclaim that Hispanic will stand out the most. However, please remember this is South Texas. We are very Hispanic predominantly here. Predominantly Hispanic. There we go. I'll learn to speak one day, guys. I promise. I wasn't an English major. I was a GIS guy and I'm a data science major. So I promise you. Bear with me. So as you can see, I have them all here. Now I am able to go through and filter. And if you are looking at this on the Tableau website underneath my profile, you will be able to do the same. And I get it right now. You're like, man, this is a bunch. Like, wow, great overview, but what does it mean? How do I go in depth? Well, if you want to break it down, like I said, by year, we'll just start with 2019. 2019 pops up. Everything other factors. Again, top five for each. So in our top five factors, as we can see, we had driver inattention at 45%. That could be anything ranging from cell phones to eating, or yelling at your kids in the back. Guilty. Our second highest was 22, had been drinking with 22%. As you guys can see from our additional facts, alcohol positive. Alcohol positive. They love the party down here, and I get it. But, please do it safely, not just for yourself, but for others. I don't know about you, but I like my freedom. So something for you to think about, don't drink and drive. 10% was unknown. And what that means is that they have no idea. The police officer just had no idea, or the state trooper or the sheriff, whoever was the first to arrive, was just like, yeah, I don't know how this has happened. Sometimes we have freak accidents like that. I don't know, whether it be man-made error or not, they're not mechanically inclined to determine that. So they probably put unknown. If I had to guess, again, this is uneducated guess, personal guess on that. Please don't run that and be like, oh, Ty said it's a mechanical thing. No. Could be anything. Could be anything, maybe they hit a deer and it ran away or something. And then here we have, again, intoxicated, alcohol. Like, so here they've been drinking, they're a little buzzed, they're good to go. Here's where, unfortunately, someone has probably died. Probably died at the end of the day. And because that's where the heavy intoxication comes from. Like, they've had far too many and they don't even remember how many they had. So there's the difference. Been drinking, you got that buzz going, you're at the limit, but you're not above it, so you're still legally allowed to drive. This means you were done. You were sloshed. And then failed to control speed. I don't want to be that guy, but that kind of goes hand in hand with these three here. If you're inattentive, if you're not controlling your speed, how many times have you seen someone on their phone texting and they're going slower than the call of traffic? And failed to control speed, they can mean anything, literally. Doesn't mean they were speeding. It could mean that they just didn't maintain the flow of traffic and they caused an accident. Okay. And as you can see, the total crashes, I apologize, I missed this, will be right here. Like, how many crashes were there for this year? We had 176 in Bexar County. Please understand that I did only pull these from our main highways. Because I had gone through every side street and little boondock alleyway, we'd have been counting all day. So these are maintained from the highways. Um, again, you want to know what's worst year? October. October is number one. We did average. There was a death. It averaged at least one death that month. The average age of driver was 31, as you can see, and the count for that month was 21 in total. So one death over 21 wrecks. Not bad. Not bad. Um, then we have March, is our second one. Excuse me. The average age for March was 32, 20 accidents, no deaths. Again, with June, I'm not going to sort your intelligence. We can go over all day. And like I said, you can go over and be very interactive here. Now, again, that being said, maybe you don't want to see all this. Maybe you're like, I don't need to see all this, my man. I'm just want to know the year overview or the just the factors in general. You know, I need to know more than the top 5. How can I get there, Ty? How? You click the next slide. And it takes you to the year. So what I did was the following slides are a breakdown of everything you saw on the dashboard. It's just more in depth. I do have, again, I have the chart over here. Excuse me, that chart, the filter for you to filter out everything you don't want. For here, I'll do 2020, right? And you go through and you're like, 2020. We had 2 deaths during COVID lockdown in February. It doesn't say like what those contribute to here on this one. That'll probably be something you can find more in my all factors, which is the next slide. But the average age was 34 years old for the per individual driving. Again, so my mid 30s, get it together, guys. Then again here in 2020, 34 years old, 33, 34, 32. So it seems to be a common trend here. You know, we're averaging about early 30s when it comes to accidents, and that's probably about the time we've all developed bad habits driving. So yeah, definitely. Like I say, no other deaths other than the 2 in February. So that's really, really good. And again, you can flow through it how you want. You want to see March, make sure you click out so that goes back and you can run over. Again, March of 2021, the moment that lifts back out, you're like, you're good, you go, man, go on, guys. We got to. But 32 deaths, 1 in August, and then none the rest of the time. But we still have that common factor of the average age of drivers being 30. So what appeared the most. And then once you're done with your year overview of top 5, because again, I just broke this one down by top 5 because we would go and do every month. It would just be tedious. Information would get less, and you would just be like, oh, boring. Then you switch over, and we have our total crashes. Again, this is set to all, and these are major factors, but it's all of them, not just the top 5. That is on me for not changing that. I do apologize. Act like you don't see it. It'll be updated by the time I upload this to Tableau. It is all. And here I just have the table of contents, you know, what you want to know. So we just did 2020. So let's do 2021. In 2021, our biggest factor out of everything, all the factors that you see listed, driver inattention. And that, again, it can go hand in hand with multiple things. Alcohol, intoxicated being our second one. See, so we got out. Everybody was locked in the house and didn't know what to do. And we got so used to being on our phones and on our couch at one time, we forgot we were driving. And, you know, depending on what you're doing, you might have been celebrating the weekends early or most days. And again, back to the intoxicated, has been drinking, 4% unknown. The control speed, again, that just varies. There's no too fast, too slow. It's just, think of it as a bullet traffic thing. Change lane when unsafe. We have a very bad issue here in Texas. It's my spot. So either let me in or hit me in. 1% of people here in San Antonio decided that they were going to test out that theory and might have lost. I'm not sure. and then failed to stop at a proper place, I guarantee you 100% I'm willing to bet money that that was a yield sign. They don't know about the yield as if a method here. Anybody watching this from Texas, I've said it. I have said it, and I will stand by it, and you know I'm absolutely right. And then, again, you can run your, just like with the other ones, you can give you the total crashes here. But as you can see, it's a little bit less, right? Let's see. Let's go back. So 2019, 179. 2020, 123. And then we go right back up. So we did. We genuinely had that low that I asked about during the COVID lockdown. It may have been 7 wrecks of a low, but it was a low nonetheless. And again, you can go if you want more details. You go over it, and it'll tell you how many wrecks there were, what percentage it is, that if it's not showing up here because it can't show everything, and what it is. Unsafe speed. Again, I feel like that goes into failure to control speed, but they have it as 2 different things, so that's when I'm presenting it. Faulty evasive action means they tried to avoid the accident in front of them, probably someone failing, getting in that lane change at unsafe times, and we cause an accident. Like I said, it's just failed to drive in a single lane. Probably goes back with these major 2. So yes, so if you want to break it down year by year or all of them, if you want to be like, well, there were 430 wrecks total those 3 years, and what was the major factor? Unfortunately, unknown. Unknown is the major factor there. With 14%, we have failed to control speed, and then 13 unsafe speed. You do with that what you will, guys. I know I'm like you. I'm like, wait a minute, where is the intoxicated or the alcohol? Well, it didn't make it when we combine all the data, but it is there. It is a huge, huge thing. And then next, like I said, these are our additional factors. Additional factors. The weather, I just chose our basic weather: clear, cloudy, foggy, rain, and other. And I will explain that at the end. It's written out there what other means. And I'll briefly go over that with you. And as you can see, we have it: medium is red, minimum is yellow, green is no damage because they're good to go, and severe is this fuchsia looking light red, which should probably be switched now that you think about it. Same as before. It breaks down the worst of the worst. Here at weather, this is weather. You only have so many categories, so we do have that. Here we have the day. So if you're like, hey, what day was the worst day to drive? Because we already have the months, right? Why not add the actual day? Here you go. If it's clear and sunny in 2009, you probably should have stayed off the road. Because you might have got hit, but no damage. Monday, I would definitely stay off the road because, again, we all partied a little too hard when they were starting to lock us down. And that you would end up with severe damage. It's Monday, like again, you would go over this, and as you can see, it's alcohol positive. It was severe damage. The day is Monday. The weather's clear. It was only 1 wreck. Luckily, it was only 1 wreck. And then the highways were 281. Again, because these are all derived from the actual highway. And foggy and cloudy, believe it or not, and rain, I expected a lot. And as you can see, we have minimal damage. We do have a lot. When it rains, sirens go off. Like if people who live here already know that if it rains, you might as well go ahead and leave an hour early because you're going to be stuck in traffic because somebody's getting hit somewhere. And here we have the additional facts continued. Like I said, it breaks down to the categories of the gender, vehicle, and your ethnicity. Now, I'm not saying you should avoid all females driving a Ford that are Hispanic because, again, we are a predominantly Hispanic community down here, so these numbers will be higher. Okay. But also did add whether they were licensed or unlicensed. As you can see from the color, blue or licensed, yellow is, or gold, excuse me, is unlicensed. And I will say, male, Ford, Hispanic, unlicensed. Every last one of them. You know, take that information how you will. Again, it just stands out more because they're predominantly Hispanic here. Doesn't mean anyone is better at driving than others. But if you wanted to tally the numbers yourself and you make that determination, I put them there for that reason. Um, indeed. So, and unknown means they just didn't know the ethnicity, and other could be a various of things. But again, you go over it and it'll tell you male driver, the type of car, licensed, and the number. And again, this is just for all 3 years. If you want to go through again and break it down by filter, you can. Like 2021, again, as you can see, the licensed were 9 and the unlicensed were 4. So it makes that a little number a little bit better. You remember it was 8 with all of them. And it shifts. Like I said, it does shift with the year. So it's very interactive. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and put that back to all. So with that, like I stated, I wanted to know a little bit more. I know you guys are probably like, oh, you know, other than the insurance purposes, why would age and gender work out? Because I was very curious to see a lot of new driver stickers on cars, and I was wondering, here they don't have a driver's ed in Texas. We have a parent talk. I was wondering how many parents teach kids bad habits, and would they actually be the main cause? As you know, someone whose child will be driving soon, I was like, let's see. I am surprised that did not come about. I do believe vehicle is important, because we all should look. I do have just the make, not the model. I wish they actually had that model available, data available. That'd have been great to know, because I mean, yeah, it's a Nissan, but a Nissan what? You know, isn't like the Ford. Are we talking Ford F-150s, Ford F-250s, you know, Silverados, Tahoes? I would have loved to have known. However, unfortunately, they didn't have that data, and no matter where I looked, I couldn't find a specific model. So all of that again goes back, and we go back over the questions. You know, what were the major contributing factors? Well, that was answered on our slide with the factors the pie chart. Was there a time frame? You know, during the pandemic lockdown, did we reduce numbers? Yes, we saw them reduced by 7. Probably a little bit more, because it was 179 for 2019, and then 123 for 2020. So there was a significant reduction there. But we did see them increase the following year. So that question was answered. And again, we just went through the other additional factors that come with the accident. You know, anything they ask you on your insurance other than the actual model, which I am bothered I was not able to find. So we're going to go through. And the next slide is just the sources cited. Again, here's that link to TxDOT. If you guys want to go play with their crash query database, you can actually, while you filter, as you can see these filters I use here, you can actually filter, or you can go and it'll give you like an Excel sheet you can download. You can choose a like preset filter they have, like top selected ones, or and like I said, you can download the Excel table. They actually have some where you'll pull them up, and they actually show Tableau trees that were created by the TxDOT themselves on Tableau. You can view them as long as you have, you know, Tableau account, Tableau public, whatever. And those things are filled with just massive amounts of data. Like when I first looked, it was for all of Texas, and it was just like, wow, like just wow. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing all of Texas. Listen to it right now. Like I said, more bite size. And then I did want to express that here at the bottom, all the crash data was available using the tool, represents the reportable data collected from the Texas Peace Officers crash reports. And it was received by TxDOT as of 5/8/2023. So as you can see, this data is only a month and a few weeks old. Okay. And the rest of the disclaimers, make sure to read this for them. The department makes no warranty, representation, or guarantee as to the content accuracy, timeliness, or completeness of any of the information provided as a result from your query. Any opinions and conclusions resulting from analysis performed on this data should be represented on my own, which I feel I did that. And again, they are not in any way, form, or fashion the state of Texas or the Department of Transportation. Okay. And I did have an unknown here I needed to discuss. As you can see, it says people, gender, unknown. I did want to bring that up in the narrative because it's how they had it written. I didn't want people to be like, oh, there's aliens driving. No. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my capstone. For any questions, comments, cries, or concerns, you can find me on my LinkedIn. You're more than welcome. Look up Ty Gray. I'll gladly reach back out and answer them if you want to, send them. If not, hey, thanks for your time and thank you for looking. All right. And thanks to Savvy Coders again for allowing me to take this cohort and, further establishing myself in the data science world. Thank you.